Hello, I am Akshit Chaya. So today I am going to show you a Python project that is based on machine learning, that is Boston House Price Predictor. So in this project I have developed a machine learning model using multivariable regression and linear regression. In Boston House Price Predictor, you can develop any predictor, not even house price, on any data set using such method, that is the multivariable regression. So first I will show you the project in action, and then I will show you the whole code, and we will go through the code together. Okay, so let us say we enter number of rooms, that is 4. Students per teacher is a measure of data that was recorded that actually tries to measure how is the education. So it may be good, it may be bad. So generally it is seen that more the number of students per teacher, the lesser the value of education it is. The teacher cannot give the attention to each and every student, so that is the ratio. So lesser the number, higher should be the rate. That is what we predict. Let's see how it works. So we say that only one teacher per student should be there. Next to river should be true, and high confidence should be true. So in Boston we know there is a Charles River, so we should go with it, and the value is so high. You can see it is $98600, and at 95% confidence we get a range, that is the lowest possible value of 677, and the highest possible value being 1434. So $1.4 million being the highest value, right? It is a very high dollar value. So yeah, this is how our predictor works, and it is actually based on Flask. So it is using Flask. Now I will show you the Jupyter notebook, in which first we gather the data, then we clean the data, we apply the statistical methods to know some parameters about the data, and then we will go through the code of the Flask app that is making use of a model developed purely in Python using scikit-learn. So this is the Jupyter notebook using which I have gathered the data, I have cleaned the data, understood the parameters of the data, and then I have trained the model using that data. So we are using Boston dataset from the scikit-learn package. So it is sklearn.datasets import load Boston. Then we are using scikit-learn's model selections, train, test, and split method. It will be useful in knowing beforehand that what is the train data, what is the test data, so we can split the data into training and test data sets. Then the linear model for linear regression, pandas variant, and the matplotlib.pyplot for the visualizing the data, and the Seaborn library is also used for the same purpose, and NumPy for mathematical uses, stats model API for getting pre-made values such as p values, BIC, then the variance inflation factor, and other stuff. So first we gather the data, as you can see, then this is the data's characteristics. We then load the head and the tail of the data. We actually created the pandas data frame, so to check that the data has been transformed into a pandas data frame very perfectly, we have to call the head and tail method to check. You can also skip that part, but it is always recommended to do that. Then data.info method will help you to know if there is any null value, what is the data type of the each and every parameter. So the very first thing you should do with a data is that you should actually try to visualize the target of the data set. Here the target is the prices, so you should always try to visualize that in a histogram. This is the histogram I have plotted. You can do that using Seaborn, you can do that using Matplotlib, any framework would work. Now the key component why I am saying you have to visualize is that once you visualize the target, you come to know the distribution of the data set. So here the distribution is though appearing like a bell curve, and you might want to look for the normal distribution, because mathematically if the distribution is normal, then and only then you can very easily predict the values, because all the concept of confidence multivariable regression lies on the concept of normal distribution. But here we can see that the distribution is not normal, and it is actually quite away from normal. Now I am saying is this because the distribution, if it was normal, the prices should be near to the central tendency, that is the mean from 0 to 50, giving us the value 25 in the thousands. So the highest possible value, this central value, should be nearing around the mean value, that is 25, but the central tendency visible over here is away from that. So definitely there is a skewing on the left hand side, and the skew value after calling the pandas skew function comes out to be actually 1.1, which is a higher skew value. So definitely skew is very big, so you need to look for it, you need to be watchful. Now how will you handle it will depend on the different statistical methods that you may apply on the data. Some methods will yield a very great answer, but then it will be difficult to come back from that for each and every predicted value. Some transformations such as log transformation are easy to apply, might not be that much precise, but may help you a lot when it comes to precision. So definitely you have to check for the different statistical methods possible mathematically. Same way you can do that for each and every parameter. Doing that for each and every parameter is not necessary, because for prediction you just simply train the data. Now training the data will depend upon the parameters, which parameters you will keep, which parameters you will not keep. Now that should be decided using the statistical measures. There are three measures, namely p values, variance inflation factor, and Bayesian inflation criterion. Now these three values are like symptoms to a patient. So these three values will actually tell you about rather this parameter is statistically significant or is important for your model or not, because now these are in increasing order. So the most general is the p values, where the threshold is set to 0.05, and if the values are above that, then you may say that the parameter is not statistically significant, whereas if the value is below 0.05, you may say that parameter is statistically significant. Then comes the variance inflation factor, which is having a threshold of value 5. All the values above 5 are not important, whereas near to 5 values are also can be of no importance. And then comes the Bayesian inflation criterion, and you have to look upon the Bayesian inflation criterion accordingly. So I will show you that. You can always have a look at the descriptive statistics of the data, that is the mean, median, and mode of the data. Mode being at 50%. Then you can look on the correlation, because this is the most important thing when it comes to looking for the parameters and their impact on prediction. So what correlation will give you is a number. You can also multiply that number with 100 to get actually how much percentage impact statistically does it have on the data for prediction of the target value. Now this depends, because correlation is not the only parameter that you have to look upon. There is a p value, there is a variance inflation factor, and there is a Bayesian inflation criterion also. But generally you look at these parameters to get a clear cut idea, because there may be a data set which is not having issues with which are very high, and so from the correlation itself you can grab it that okay, this parameter is of no importance. So there is some common sense also involved, so you know how the data was gathered, you know what the data is about, like over here. So in house price you may use your common sense that okay, crime might be there, so crime will have a negative impact, so it should have a negative correlation, like that. So, and then you can actually use correlation to verify your theory that you have made for, or the assumption that you have done, and you can actually check that your assumption is true or false. The one more thing to note is that in correlation, the false variables, or you can say the pseudo variables, would not be giving you correct answer. That is variables such as recording the value that either the house is near the chas or not, so it is only a boolean value from 0 or 1. So then here you cannot have a correlation really, because there are only two possible values. So definitely such pseudo variables will not give you a correct answer in correlation. So there you have to then use the Bayesian inflation criterion, the variance inflation factor, and other stuff to know that okay, this parameter has any influence or not. So this is how we go upon when it comes to a mathematical model and the machine learning. So you can always call the core method on the data to know about the correlation. So I was talking about the PT ratio in the start. So it is the student per teacher. So definitely lesser the number of more the number of students per teacher, the lesser should be the house value, and it is being predicted over here that it has such an impact. It is a minus 0.5 correlation. So it has a negative impact of 50% on the data prediction. So that way every other factor will have their own correlations. So you can have a look upon them, but don't just consider the correlation itself only, because it will convey only the half story. The other half you have to investigate. Yeah, so this is how I have plotted using Seaborn. Then you can plot different distributions to take an idea of how the distribution is, how random the distribution is, and such parameters. We should not. Okay, so from here I have divided the data set into train and test data set, then r squared. So training r squared, test r squared. R squared is a value which gives you the data regarding how well your data is predicting the or how well your model is predicting the values. This is what r square gives us the information about. So without any transformation, without dropping any parameters, the training r square stands at 0.7 and the test r square stands at 0.68. So yeah, as I said, there is a skewing, so the accuracy decreases, because if there is skewing, we are not working on normal distribution, so statistically that actually goes wrong ways. And yeah, so that is actually happening over here. Okay, then we apply log transformation. The easiest of all being log transformation. You can know more about log transformation, just go on Google and search out for the term log transformation on data, and you will get more idea why it is important, what is the statistical significance. General idea over here is that log transformation, what it does, it decreases the values into log. Now the change in the value is higher for higher values and lower for lower values. So the skew will actually be corrected by a good measure if you apply the log transformation. This is the basic idea. Doing only the log transformation increases your training r squared at 0.76, test r squared at 0.7. Very high, and you see the skew decreases from 1.1 positive to minus 0.33. So definitely skew has decreased and it is lot closer to 0. So it is a lot closer to mean. So yeah, now the data will be a lot closer to mean, and that is very important. Okay. Then you can now take a look at the p values. So I am using stats model API for the same. So you can have a look at the p values, but p values are generally will not give you good amount of measures. So yeah, crime should have negative impact, but it is going above threshold value of 0.05, very high. This happens with the real life data set. So as I said, that you don't have to just look at single values, you have to look through multiple values, and then you have to take your intuition, your assumptions also into consideration before ruling out any parameter from your data set. The variance inflation criterion, so it is saying some other story. So here this is saying that prime is of completely no statistical importance, but variance inflation factor says no, the value is below 5. So the value is well below tolerated value. So what it is saying is that radial accessibility to highways is 10.44. So it is of completely no importance. Now according to variance inflation factor, tax is also not important. Now if we take our intuition, then if the tax is lower, if the property tax is lower, then definitely people should go towards it. So this is saying something very different from our intuition. So then we have to look upon the Bayesian inflation criterion. Now the Bayesian influence criterion or the inflation criterion is actually important measure only if you are testing it with particular values. So let's say this is having all the parameters, okay, no parameters are dropped, then what is the criterion? It will give some random number, okay, it is known as index. Now then what you do is actually you start removing the parameters you think are of no importance by your intuition or some theory or the way you know the data was gathered or something like that, some any scientific reason behind it. So you start doing that. So I started by removing indus. Once you remove the indus, you see the 0.76% efficiency is still retained, but the Bayesian influence criterion comes out actually 0.649, which is lower value, which is smaller value compared to the previous value. So the intuition over here is that if you have a smaller value in the BIC, that is the Bayesian inflation criterion, you can simply remove the parameter. If you get a higher value than the previous default minus 2.4 value, then you cannot remove the parameter. This is the current scenario, or this is how you actually use your BIC values. They are a relative measure. So age minus 6.9, remove it. Crime is giving minus 6.8. So even Bayesian inflation criterion is saying that crime is not important. But if I remove crime, it would be wrong, because we know that crime has an important role. You don't want to live in a neighborhood where every morning you wake up and crime is there. So every morning you wake up, or at the night every night your burglar is going to steal things from your house. No, you don't want to live in such an area. Why would you? You would like to live in an area of lower crime rate. So even though mathematically and statistically you are getting a variable that crime is of no importance, but with your assumption and theory, you might keep the crime intact, because with crime you are getting 0.765 and without crime you are getting 0.765. So there is no such characteristic of crime in the efficiency. So I too remove crime, just keep the crime as it is. You can think other way around, that crime is a redundant data, but no, it is important if you think and take your common sense into the play. Sometimes you have to do that as a machine learning or a data analyst. You just don't behave mathematically. We are humans and we want to make prediction as a human. So this is very important factor. Chaz, so you remove Chaz and you get minus 5.63. So yeah, you don't want to remove Chaz, because Chaz has a higher value compared to the other two values. So you don't remove Chaz. And then finally, after removing age and indus both, you get a Bayesian inflation criterion of minus 6.8 and an efficiency of 0.765 still preserved. So there is, we can safely remove the age and indus parameters. Okay, then we can have a look upon the two different states of data. So one is the normal state of data, where we are actually using anti-log and we are seeing how the values are fitted, and here we are seeing versus the log values. This is the regression line, this is the prediction line. So machine will make predictions on this line, and the blue data are the real data sets or the real values. So how much is the error of the machine is known as residuals. So the real data point and the prediction made by the machine, so the point lying corresponding to that data on the regression line. Then you plot these residuals to see if there is a pattern of error. So if you are having a pattern of error, means you are repeating the error in a constituent pattern, then you have missed or dropped a data point, and that is not able to actually just justify it. So if a parabola or any shape forms over here, but here you can see a cloud shape is there, a random shape is there, so we can say that there is no problem in this data set, and we can generally go ahead with the machine learning model hence developed. So this was the Jupyter notebook. Now I will show you the Flask code. This is the Flask code. Simple code it is. If you know Flask, you can implement it. If you don't know it, go and check out the Flask, how to implement it. This is the scikit-learns dataset. Yeah, so this is how I have made these things. Now high confidence and low confidence. So the prediction confidence range is actually calculated using root mean squared error, which you can get from scikit-learn, and you can use it to make predictions. You can also have an inflation factor, so every year there is inflation, so you can also have that. So the current price should be there divided by the median of your data set, and then you can actually take that into consideration while you are calculating the prices. Thank you. The link of the project is in description. You can go, it is a GitHub link. You can check out my project. Thank you.